Have you ever wanted to play a game as a chicken who shoots penguins that belong to a tyrannical regime, all while in a jetpack? Well, if for some bizarre reason your answer is yes, Rocketbirds got you covered. The game is a side-scrolling shooter where you play as the hard-boiled chicken, a man with no name but one purpose: collect key cards. And move crates. And also kill penguins. So yeah, 3 purposes. Rocketbirds consists of ground missions and flight missions. You'll fight enemies and solve puzzles on the ground and get into dogfights in the air. There's also a co-op mode, but we're going to focus on the single player. The game opens with a bit of a music video introducing the main character as he flies through the air and fights off multiple pursuers. The music is a bit cheesy, but it's not awful. One of the first things you'll notice is the animation quality feels a little Newgrounds-y. It's simple, but kind of fun. Our hero crashes in a jungle and the game truly begins. In the first area you are taught how to jump, roll, and shoot. You come across your first enemy and whoa, that pistol got some punch to it. Yes, this happens every time you shoot an enemy. Each hit practically makes your enemies go flying. Initially hilarious at first, but it does raise some future problems. The hard-boiled chicken's enemies appear to be the penguin regime. Yes, penguins, the most fascist of Earth's creatures. As you fight through their ranks, you'll mainly just run into 2 types of enemies: shield penguins and penguins with automatic weapons. Sadly, the enemy variety isn't very interesting. So who's the mastermind behind this whole plot?
What? No! No! What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Pull yourself together, Putzki. We've got a whole penguin army, and we've clowned him to fight him. And he's just one little chicken. I will kill him, and then I will eat him.
Well, color me impressed. Also, those clones he mentioned, yeah, they need some work. The abilities you have in Rocketbirds consists of rolling and taking cover. Rolling is something you can just continually do by crouching and moving. It's faster than walking, so you'll mainly be using this to get around. The skill of taking cover is actually very situational. This game being 2D, you're not going to have as many things to hide behind. So you can crouch, but you can't duck to the side unless it gives you the option. This is especially an issue when you are ambushed and the game doesn't give you any cover. You can only switch from side to side to try and keep the enemies stun locked. Oddly enough, in the co-op mode, both skills are absent. The only ability you have to replace this is to jump on top of each other and create a totem pole of death. The levels in the co-op campaign are just repurposed levels from the single player, but with a few different puzzles and no air combat. So there isn't a whole lot to mention here. After you finish going through the facility in the jungle, you find the hard-boiled chicken's jetpack. This actually brings me to what I think are my favorite segments of the game, the flight levels. These sections let you fly around and outmaneuver enemies and get into dogfights. It's fun in a very simple kind of way. Unfortunately, the levels don't really change as you progress. There's only a few of them in the game, and they don't add any new obstacles or enemies to them. It's just the same penguins and the same open-air arenas. Despite this, they are a nice change of pace from the ground levels. Back to the topic of ground levels, let's talk about the shooting. Because your bullets stun enemies so easily, if you're just up against one enemy, you can unload on him without any worries. But because you can also be affected in the same way by bullets, if you get sandwiched between 2 foes, it can really mess you up. Another problem with this is how long it can take to kill. At times, enemies can act as meat shields and protect the ones that do more damage, and if they stun lock you, it's probably over. You go through the levels and upgrade your weapons along the way. You only get 3 guns, a pistol, SMG, and shotgun. As you progress, you'll get better versions of these guns, but not the pistol, so you'll never really need to use it. The ammo for your guns is universal, so you won't need to switch weapons if you don't want to. The guns are pretty basic, but still fun. Along the way you'll find grenades you can toss, and an item called the Brain Bug, which you can use to take control of enemies. This will come into play with some of the puzzles the game has. Speaking of puzzles, this is one of my personal issues with the game. It's not too bad at first, just a few crate puzzles. But as you go on, you'll soon realize that almost all of these puzzles are about moving crates. A few puzzles mix in the Brain Bug device, but the majority of them have you rearranging a storage facility's worth of boxes. It gets so bad at one point, you have to move 3 of the exact same crates from one side of the area to the next. So what are these puzzles for? Well, keycards. Throughout your journey, you'll run into plenty of locked doors, each requiring a different colored, one-use keycard. I'm not against a few locked doors, but with how many you find and the puzzles you have to do to get the doors open, it sometimes feels like the game is being padded out. Despite the trials of insidious birds and nefarious crate puzzles, our hero makes it to the final battle. Putzki and his bodyguard Bruno escape on a rocket and the hard-boiled chicken follows. You fight through one last air mission and make it to the inside of the ship just in time. You come face to face with Bruno, and the two of you have an epic final battle. Shoot, physical attacks don't hurt him. Gonna have to rethink my approach. The rocket ship is circular and loops around. If you use this to your advantage, you can sneak up on him and get past the shield that he has. The battle isn't too bad, but they do throw in some minor enemies, which give you trouble. You finish off Bruno, and now for the real final battle. An elevator chase. Yeah, I guess I wasn't actually expecting to fight this guy.
No!
You find him in his private bunker, but he can't escape from your brain bug. After the hard-boiled chicken's journey, he has found it in his heart to let Putzki live. In space.
Well, that's that.
I couldn't have put it better myself. Rocketbirds is a simple game, but there's some fun to be had in just mindlessly shooting penguins. It does feel like a few of the puzzles are unnecessary. But if you can get past that and are really craving some weird penguin shooting action, Rocketbirds should satisfy. But if you want a great side-scrolling shooter, you could probably do better. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and recommend a weird game in the comments. What do you consider to be an odd game?